Domestic Abuse and Violence Awareness, created by the Center of Excellence, narrated by Jane Branch.
Center of Excellence, Domestic Abuse and Violence Awareness. Module 1. What is domestic abuse and violence? Current issues. In March 2016, Dr. Helen Pankhurst, the great-granddaughter of suffragette Emmeline, and a host of other female celebrities, including Annie Lennox and Bianca Jagger, led a mass rally and walk through London. It was one of many events marking Women's History Month that year, and though the walk was carried out in solidarity with the women and girls around the globe who still endure inequality and injustice, it also aimed to highlight such injustices closest to home. Indeed, that same month, the Office for National Statistics had released figures for the year ending in March 2016 and revealed that during the previous 12 months, 1.2 million women had reported incidents of domestic abuse in England and Wales. These figures were plastered all over the media, and many people expressed horror at how high they were. Yet those working in this area knew well that they were only the tip of the iceberg. In fact, according to research carried out by Sylvia Walby, Professor of Sociology at Lancaster University, if the cap on the number of crimes reported, currently set at 5 per victim, was removed, the number of incidents of domestic abuse experienced by women would increase by approximately 70%. Other statistics released that year claim that 1 woman in 4 experiences domestic violence in her lifetime, while close to 2 women are killed each week in England and Wales by a current or former partner. So, while the predecessor and admirers of one of the world's greatest fighters for the cause of female equality walked through the streets of London that year, the message was loud and clear. Yes, women have worked hard to improve their public and private lives in many ways, but there's still so much more that needs doing. Domestic violence has not been relegated to history as women have found freedoms in other areas. It is still very much a common part of how women are continuing to live in the contemporary world. So, while the descendant and admirers of one of the world's greatest fighters for the cause of female equality walked through the streets of London that year, the message was loud and clear. Yes, women have worked hard to improve their public and private lives in many ways, but there's still so much more that needs doing. Domestic violence has not been relegated to history as women have found freedoms in other areas. It is still very much a common part of how women are continuing to live in the contemporary world. And yet, a dominant characteristic of domestic abuse is the silence that often surrounds it. There are reasons for this, which will be explored later in this course, but this lack of openness about the prevalence of domestic abuse and violence adds to its complexity, particularly in how it is discussed, believed and dealt with. So it is that we will start this course by looking exactly at what is meant by this term and who is most at risk from this kind of violence. Types of domestic violence. As we've seen, domestic abuse affects millions of people every year. These people can be both men and women, though statistics show that over 80% of the time it's women. They can be involved in different relationships, including traditional marriages, same-sex partnerships, and even kindred relationships where no sexual intimacy takes place. In the UK, the government defines domestic abuse as any incident or pattern of incidents of controlling, coercive threatening behaviour, violence or abuse between those aged 16 or over who are or have been intimate partners or family members regardless of gender or sexuality. Main types of abuse. While physical violence is the most obvious form of this kind of abuse, both the government and all agencies and charities seeking to help victims of abuse agree that it can also involve, and not be limited to, psychological, emotional,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?